Yo, what's up, Knicks Universe? This is your boy Big Freezy at Big Freezy on Twitter. Just had a few things on my mind. Want to talk to y'all real quick. Want to throw a video out here about the way real Knicks fans feel about the happenings this summer. First of all, I want to touch on the Anthony Davis trade. Anthony Davis is um, a transitional player. In order not to get into like hyperbole and all that stuff about his greatness, Anthony Davis is basically a top five NBA player, right? No doubt. Nobody questions his basketball ability or his basketball IQ. However, there are some questions about Anthony Davis's loyalty, and questions about his performance in high pressure situations, questions about injuries and things of that sort. Even with all that said, having Anthony Davis as a member of your team, especially the Knicks, since I'm a Knicks fan, especially about Anthony Davis being a Knicks player, there should be no question about that. However, the question comes down to price. What were Knicks fans willing to give up in order to acquire a talent like Anthony Davis? So rumors have come out that the Knicks were not wanting to offer um, Kevin Knox and Mitchell Robinson, and maybe some other pieces like some future firsts in order to get AD. So the Lakers swept in and beat us to it. The Lakers sold out everything in order to get Anthony Davis. And that's their prerogative. That's what they wanted to do. They wanted AD. They were willing to pay the price. So what? They jumped in and did it. It's what they usually do. When the Lakers target a player, they're relentless in their pursuit of that player. As you've known from Dwight Howard, Chris Paul, though they didn't get Chris Paul, they pursued him hard. And other players, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Shaquille O'Neal, um, the list goes on and on. What I say to Knicks fans is this. Um, the asking price was a lot for Anthony Davis. And I don't feel like we were in a position to give up basically everything we acquired over the last year and a half or so in order to get Anthony Davis. Seeing the landscape of the NBA had changed drastically within the last week. Would I have loved to have Anthony Davis for a very long time? Certainly. Would I would like to give up everything that we have in order to get Anthony Davis and have him be here by himself? No. No, because as a Knicks fan, I've been a Knicks fan since the 70s. And I've been in those situations where you have a top 10 guy on the roster and the other guys on the roster are not even top 200. It's not a winning formula. If I were a Knicks fan today, what I would be say, I would take a deep breath and say, listen, we had Patrick Ewing here by himself and couldn't acquire another guy. We had a Carmelo Anthony here by himself and couldn't get another guy. A Bernard King. The list goes on and on about having one guy and then not having the assets to acquire another player to play behind him, and then that player's prime is wasted away. And in a perfect case scenario, basically we would have traded everything we had, or for those that wanted Anthony Davis, regardless, the best case scenario would have been to trade everything that we had to gut the entire roster and future draft picks in order to get Anthony Davis. Then you'd have Anthony Davis here by himself with the mindset that you can sign a lot of guys to the vet minimum in order to play around Anthony Davis. Well, that's not what Anthony Davis wants. Anthony Davis wants to play with stars. He had that same scenario basically in New Orleans. Why would he come to New York and be under the microscope and in the pressure cooker with no help, losing all the time? He did that in New Orleans and didn't like it. Can you imagine Anthony Davis in New York with the media, with the scrutiny of every game? In New Orleans, they had 7 guys following around Anthony Davis, asking him polite questions, tossing him softball questions, and he didn't like it. Now, just imagine an army of 70 reporters and YouTube guys like myself just criticizing his every move. He wouldn't like it. No matter what Knicks fans say, they would say, well, you can get him for this 1 year, and then, next year you can go get such and such. But there's a gamble in that. So the gamble is you get Anthony Davis for this 1 year under tremendous scrutiny, hoping that he'll sign an extension this summer after he makes All NBA. But after 1 year of the pressure cooker, do you think he'd sign back with the Knicks after making All NBA? No, he wouldn't. No, he wouldn't. He'd leave and go play with the Lakers. And now you had 1 year Anthony Davis, no more resources, and nothing to go out and get resources with. So what do y'all think? Comment in the description below. Listen, I answer all questions and stuff. Y'all know me. I'm on Twitter just about 24/7. So if I don't answer here, I'll definitely answer your stuff on Twitter at Big Freezy. So the Lakers got their man. We didn't get our guy. If I'm a Knicks fan, I'm not happy to hear about Anthony Davis going to the Lakers. But at the same time, being in the moment, knowing this is a big summer, I wouldn't count this as a loss. I would count this as a even. So we didn't give him, we didn't give everything away for Anthony Davis. So what? So RJ Barrett. I've been on Twitter for about a year and a half talking about the Knicks should tank for RJ Barrett. Last summer when I said it sounded ridiculous. Watching the Knicks tank for a high school player. He hadn't even committed to a school yet. Shortly afterwards, he committed to Duke. Right? He played at Duke. He got outshined at Duke by a cat from my hometown. Well, not from my hometown, but his pops is from my hometown anyways. Zion is a beast, an animal of different type. He's a different type animal. If you guys hold that against RJ Barrett, then you guys are not really truly basketball fans. It's like it's the equivalent to like a James Worthy being at North Carolina with a Michael Jordan. You know what I mean? James Worthy was an excellent player, Hall of Fame type player, right? But when there's a Michael Jordan that shows up, you have to understand that James Worthy was great, but Michael Jordan, I mean, come on, that's basically what happened. RJ Barrett is an excellent player, and he would basically solve our issues on the wing. We have a young Kevin Knox. We have a young Mitchell Robinson. We have a young Alonzo Trier. We have these young pieces. All we need, and you guys, if you watched 60 or 70 of the Knicks games last year, you would know that basically RJ Barrett fits what we want, because there were times we would go 5, 6, 7 minutes without getting a basket, jump shooting. Guys couldn't make it to the basket. Moutier would beat his man to the basket, and the lane would get closed off, and then there would be nowhere for him to go with the basketball. He'd do that weird pump fake, pump pass, whatever it is, until basically until we had to force up a bad shot. We didn't have a slasher that could finish at the basket. Kevin Knox tried his best to be that, but being a young guy, that's just wasn't his forte. Kevin Knox right now, his skill set is mid to long range shooter, not a great finisher at the basket because he doesn't have the strength yet. So, it's one of those things. You add a Trier, Alonzo Trier, and he's not that guy either. He's a good young player. At 22, 23 years old, I think he could probably add some things to his game, but I don't see high upside in Trier. Maybe at his best, maybe a 16, 17 point scorer, but not that much. I mean, not a franchise changer. Same thing with Damian Dotson, a very good role player, a great team player, right? But not a franchise altering talent. They're not at shooting guard. They're not. You saw it last year. You saw it 2 years ago. You saw Dot disappeared in a lot of games 2 years ago. And so he got better last year, but he still disappeared in large stretches. We as a matter of fact, there's a large Twitter thread on of Twitter, of course, that during games we tweeted like, "Where's Dotson? Where's Dotson? Where's Dotson? We need buckets or a bucket." The Indiana game, as a matter of fact, when Oladipo caught fire, um, it was clear that the Knicks needed a shooting guard, not just to defend Oladipo, but if you can't stop him, can you at least give him something on the other end? We didn't get that from Dotson or Trier or or whoever played the two last year, or the three for that matter, the 1, 2, or 3. We didn't get that last year. We got a lot of Tim Hardaway chucking up shots through his injury. We got a lot of Emmanuel Mudiay capitalizing on mismatches in his favor, but he couldn't do that consistently. So kudos for Mudiay for being able to capitalize on mismatches, maybe scoring 25, 30 points a game. There was even a stretch where he had like 5 or 6 games, 7, 10 games, I think, where he looked like he was going to be our guy, but down the stretch, he faded. Same thing happened with Noah Vonleh, where we thought Vonleh was going to be our Julius Randle type player. He played well at that. Maybe 20 games, he looked like he could get, a contract of like 15, 16, 17 mil. And then he faded down the stretch. Injuries probably. Not understanding the offense. Chemistry issues. So I said all of that to say, infusing young talent like a RJ Barrett, who's a certified, bona fide bucket getter, solves our issue. People, New York Knicks fans some Knicks fans would say that we don't need another Chuck or another player to just go out and shoot all the time. Well, I would tell you this. I watched RJ Barrett. I'm an RJ Barrett fan. Watched all his high school tapes. Watched all his college tapes. And the reason why I like RJ Barrett is because as a Knicks fan, we have never, ever, ever had a bona fide top 5 shooting guard ever. And some of y'all old heads, kind of like me, would say, well, we had Earl the Pearl. Well, Earl the Pearl started at point guard for the Washington Bullets for a long time, right? And then when he got here, he played into a not a 2-point guard, but a two guard system where 2 guys initiated the offense. And while Clyde was basically a distributor and can score, Earl of Pearl was a scorer that could distribute. Kind of the equivalent of and this is just skill set only, and not just the players, but kind of like say Stephon Marbury type at one position that could score and could distribute, and then say an Allen Iverson type that could, score and distribute as well, except the 2 guards I'm referring to were a lot bigger and such. But anyways, so what does RJ Barrett bring to the Knicks immediately? Because, I say this, thinking RJ Barrett's going to add these things long term. So what does RJ Barrett bring to the Knicks in a short term until he develops his game to fit the NBA, or not just to fit, but you know what I mean, till he gets used to the NBA. So what RJ Barrett brings is a winner's mentality, right? Y'all be like, so what? Everybody in the NBA wants to win. No, everybody in the NBA doesn't want to win. Not like that. Everybody would like to win at the end of the day. Are they willing to do what it takes to win is the difference. And there is a difference. Because Pat Ewing wanted to be NBA champ, but Michael Jordan wanted to beat and dominate his competition, period. There's a difference. Michael Jordan wanted to dominate his competition on the way to an NBA championship. Pat Ewing wanted to win a championship. Right? There's a difference. There's a huge difference. So Knicks fans, Knicks universe, NBA universe for that matter, just understanding what RJ Barrett brings is not just that mentality where they'd like to, win by have at least one more point than the other guy when the buzzer goes off, is not RJ Barrett. RJ Barrett has that mentality like a Kobe Bryant, where he wants his man and the other team, the entire franchise, to know that he and his franchise are better than you and your franchise. There's a significant difference. What else does he bring? A young, bouncy wing to the Knicks. We hadn't had those in quite some time. We're stockpiling right now. We're getting some guys in. I don't know if Knox is that young, bouncy wing, but what I do know is that adding RJ Barrett to that and to a Trier, and maybe some other guys improves where we have been significantly deficient at for quite some time. So we've swung and missed on some. The J.R. Smith was not a swing and miss. I would call that even. Shumpert was not a swing and miss like some Knicks fans say. I would call that probably even. Because where Shumpert say had defensive lapses and some offensive struggles, there are long stretches where Shumpert could lock down above average scorers. You don't find guys that can shut down above average scorers consistently. And Shumpert was that. Where he had his deficiencies was going up against elite scorers on the wing, like Paul George's and LeBron James's and players like that. So if you want to judge Shumpert for not being, not able to lock down, wings and such like that against elite guys, go ahead. But just to stay on track, that's basically what you'll get from RJ Barrett. Not an elite lockdown defender. That's not what I'm saying. But some and potentially a wing that can put pressure on the other guys as opposed to the pressure always being put on us. So those are just a few things that RJ Barrett brings. Plus he's 19, huge upside, great pedigree, great person. We had a franchise player in Kristaps Porzingis that was a bad guy, right? A bad guy. And listen, I'm not slandering the dude's name, but all these reports and such, during his exit, just lets you know that Porzingis wasn't a great person. So exit stage left on him and enter a new guy, a young guy who has a bona fide pedigree. Parents brought him up well. He grew up playing basketball in New York during the summer, and not just in like private gyms and such. This dude was on the streets getting bullied by guys, getting thrown to the ground by guys, getting New York tough, and now he's all grown up. We're able to draft him. He can play the 2 for your New York Knicks. And now you have a guy that's New York tested already, played in high pressure situations. He won't fold from the media. And also that Madison Square Garden is not intimidating to him. What else do you want? What else do you want? He's New York tested, played in high pressure situations, and he wants to be a Knick. What else do you want? Let me know on Twitter. Add your comments below. Let me know. Hit me up. I'd like to talk to y'all about that, about RJ Barrett, and tell me what you think. So the media has been killing the Knicks about the KP injury, right? Let me tell you something, New York Knicks fans. Since mid-April, the Knicks have not dribbled a basketball in a meaningful game, right? Your front office has not gone out on record publicly saying something stupid, right? The Knicks have not done a thing. Only thing the Knicks have done so far is sat back patiently and allowed these situations to play themselves out so that they can make smart decisions. So you have folks, and I won't say their names, but they're on ESPN and all these other places saying that the Knicks struck out and the Knicks did such and such. I don't blame them. They need, in order to stay relevant, they need to mention the New York Knicks. Y'all know that. In order to be relevant as a network or a reporter, you have to mention the Knicks in some form. because we basically have one of the bigger fan bases, one of the bigger media markets. So what? So what? They mention the Knicks. So what? They slander us, say we did such and such. But that the Knicks hadn't done anything the entire time except sit back and allow situations to play themselves out. Like the KD injury. How does the KD injury play impact us? We didn't throw banana peels on the court, y'all. Sorry. We didn't set a bad screen so KD can get injured. Sorry. We didn't do anything to affect KP. I'm sorry, not KP. He's gone. That clown. KD, Kevin Durant. We didn't do anything. We sat back and wanted to have our dreams come true with the signing of Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant got injured playing a sport that he loves where injuries happen. It is what it is. We're getting killed in the media by pundits saying that the Knicks always mess stuff up. We didn't throw a banana peel on the floor and injure KD. Injuries happen. Our franchise superstar got injured in the game. A lot of them did. Patrick Ewing got injured a lot. Carmelo Anthony got injured a lot. Kristaps Porzingis got injured with us. And Kevin Durant got injured playing in the finals for another team. Injuries happen. It is what it is. There's nothing you can do about injuries. Nothing. Now, what you can do is as a Knicks fan, support your front office or criticize them. Either way, I think being critical is a form of support when it comes to things like that. But if I'm a Knicks fan, I'll just be patient. Allow the front office to make the moves that they've been contemplating for months, some for years, and have faith that we can go from a 17-win team to maybe a 34-win team if we don't sign any free agents. And that's not a huge jump. Doubling your win total is not a huge jump when you only won 17 games. Right? That's assuming that Dennis Smith Jr. With a full offseason and a year of coaching from David Fizdale can realize some of his potential. Maybe we re-sign Moutier. If we do, I'm so what? Moutier is young. Allow him to continue to grow with us. So what? Hoping that the rookies come in and contribute. I wouldn't expect anything major from the rookies. I'd expect, say, from an RJ Barrett, if that's who we are fortunate enough to get. I would, look at maybe 16 points a game on 45% shooting. Not a great 3-point shooter. I would say as long as he's somewhere between 31 and 35%, I would take that. I would take that because the one thing about those totals, as opposed to or to complement what we already have, that gives us more scoring when we had those long droughts down the stretch. We didn't have a down the stretch. If you're a Knicks fan, you understand this. Down the stretches of games, execution didn't always kill us. Say running the play exactly how we were supposed to didn't always kill us. What would kill us is long lapses of bad defense and long lapses of not being able to get the ball in the basket on offense, basically. So, and you would say, Knicks fan would be, well, it's the same thing. No, it's not the same thing because Fizdale didn't force an offensive system down these rookies' throats. He let them play a free-flowing style of offense where they would look for each other and try to create baskets for each other. Right? Right. It is what it is. Yeah, a lot of time we were on Twitter all year asking what kind of system are the Knicks running. We didn't know. We saw basic basketball plays being run, pin downs from the opposite side of the floor, basic pick and roll from top of the key, things like that. Things like we saw it in high school and for some of y'all college, I guess. But having RJ Barrett being a bona fide bucket getter, kind of in the mold of a Joe Johnson, somebody like that. When other teams are going like on an 8-0 run, it's something that we needed, and unfortunately, we didn't have that to depend on last year. It showed up at times. Alonzo Trier did his best with that down the but he battled injuries and inconsistent roles. Being moved to point guard, playing a lot of three instead of being playing the two where he could attack guys his size and quickness with moves and such. And he improved during the season on his left hand and such. But so free agents, what type of free agent does the franchise need? I would say the franchise needs not necessarily a superstar at this point. If we sign KD or Kawhi, that'd be a plus. It's like apple pie a la mode. You can't get no better than apple pie and ice cream. You know what I'm saying? As a dessert. So, but so if we get a KD, and he red shirts, groovy, because having a vet like that to mentor or answer little questions like that, and basically KD would be a kingmaker. And if anybody know what a kingmaker is you get KD here and while he's rehabbing, and you see a lot of princes walking around like a RJ Barrett and a Kevin Knox and a Alonzo Trier. He can take one or two of those guys because three is too many. You know what I'm saying? Three is too many. It's asking too much from one person. But you can get like a one or two guys maybe, and have them be put in like an apprenticeship type thing, where KD can share some of his secrets. Of course, you never share everything that's in your bag. You give away a little bit, and then hopefully have them build their own bag. That's the key. That's the manhood gem there. You don't give away everything, but what you do is teach people how to create their own bag. And so if KD can, teach, say, a Knox to certain moves when they get on your right hip and the ball, or get on your left hip and the ball's in your right hand, you go into the basket. This is what I do: reverse pivot and do my Dirk jumper, or if I can't get to the basket, look for the guy in the corner that's already in my line of vision because my momentum is taking me that way anyway. Little small things, working on floater game, working on height mismatches, even if the other guy is stronger than you. Yeah, things like that. If he can teach a RJ Barrett who's 6'7" and a Kevin Knox that's 6'9", taking care of, taking advantage of height mismatches and things of that sort. What are y'all thinking about D'Angelo Russell or Julius Randle? What do you think about a Tobias Harris, Jimmy Butler? What's the odds on getting Kawhi? I would say if we strike out on KD, Kevin Durant, say if Kevin Durant opts into his contract, right? Just say he opts in for 1 year. What I would do is sign D'Angelo Russell and Julius Randle long-term. I'm talking about 3 or 4 years to whatever dollar amount that'll get them in the door. And by doing that, what you do is you add other assets to your already growing young core. Now if you have a RJ Barrett, D'Angelo Russell, Damian Dotson, Alonzo Trier, Julius Randle, Kevin Knox, Mitchell Robinson. I may have said a couple of those guys twice, but anyways, you understand what I'm saying. You go from having a core of 3 guys, maybe a good core of 5 guys, to maybe a core of like 8 young guys under 24 years old. And not to mention, say, a Frank Ntilikina, Dennis Smith Jr., who I love. See, so I wasn't gonna talk about Frank, but here goes. All right, so I love Frank Ntilikina, right? And I love Frank because he's an unselfish player, the kind of guy that you need on a winning team, right? The guy that's gonna play 1, 2, or 3 and defend the 1 through 4. Man, last year Frank defended Karl Anthony Towns and Martin Gortat, and they both missed the shots that Frank was guarding them, right? You can't go in saying Frank's gonna play the 5, but what that does is it allows coaches flexibility to run out different lineups. So if you go all scoring and you add Frank, then say if you have a KD, think about this. So you have a KD, a Barrett, a Knox, and a Trier, you have a lot of scoring. And I'm assuming KD comes back at 100%. And some people don't think he'll come back at 100%. I think with modern technique, listen, I lost 100 pounds, right? I lost 100 pounds with the help of my doctor. People say that's impossible, right? Lose 100 pounds with the help of your doctor. Man, I lost 100 pounds with the help of my doctor, man. Hey, so if I can do that with the way that I eat, man, listen, an Achilles injury should be nothing. KD come back at 100% with our young core. But anyways, getting back to Frank, the thing with Frank is his expectation level was too high. Knicks fans, take a deep breath. Y'all are ridiculous. Y'all expect Frank to come out and be Derrick Rose. Frank is not Derrick Rose. You expect Frank to be Steph Curry. Frank is not Steph Curry. Frank is Frank. We knew what he was. We knew what he was on draft night. We knew what his player profile was. And Knicks fans, some of y'all, not everybody, some of y'all had this unreasonable expectation that Frank was going to give y'all 16 points, 7 boards, 7 assists, and things of that sort. Stop being ridiculous. It's the same thing you did to Jerry and Grant. Stop being ridiculous. A lot of these guys are not, their profile is not to be, a certain type guy. Their profile is to be what they've been their whole life. Stop being ridiculous. So anyway, I'm all in for D'Angelo Russell and Julius Randle. Why not? Randle brings a certain type talent that the NBA is the cutting edge. If your 4 can handle the ball and push the pace, shoot the 3, rebound, guard, say 3 through 5, that's the modern NBA 4. Modern NBA 4s are not Charles Oakley, who can only thing they can do is rebound and play defense, interior defense against another 4. That's not the modern 4. The floor is wide open. They play every inch of the floor nowadays. It's not a Charles Oakley. It's not a Buck Williams. It's not any of those guys. That's not what this game is about anymore. Everybody has ball handling skills. Everybody can shoot the 3. Everybody can pass. That's the modern NBA game. That's the one reason why I say you guys are too hard on Frank. Frank is basically gonna be a glue guy, maybe like the 7th or 8th guy on your roster, maybe 3rd guy off your bench. He's gonna come in and give you, minutes. In case of an injury, he can fill in anywhere from 1 to 3 and give you the same thing the coach wanted you to get. And so getting back to free agents, D'Angelo Russell. You guys are really hard on D'Angelo Russell. Really hard. D'Angelo Russell has never been a bad NBA player. He's always been a good NBA player. I think he averages like 14 points for his career. Maybe a smidge under what Dennis Smith Jr. averages. If you bring in a Dennis Smith, D'Angelo Russell, now you have in the backcourt, because D'Angelo Russell can play both guard spots. Now you have a D'Angelo Russell, a Dennis Smith Jr., a Frank Ntilikina, a Damian Dotson, Lonzo Trier, RJ Barrett. Is that backcourt crowded? No, because most teams run a lot of 3-guard sets. And then there are a lot of injury concerns. It happens during the season. Last year, D'Angelo Russell played for the Nets, and Caris LeVert was hurt for long stretches. And the guy that smashes us on Twitter, Spencer Dinwiddie, was hurt a lot last year. So he handled the load in a crowded backcourt, but also could handle the load as a primary load carrier, basically. So just give him enough to sign. His max is $27 million. If we can get him somewhere between 18 and 24 million, great. If he asks for the max, I would strongly consider it. Not saying I'd guarantee it, but I would strongly consider it. Oh, what other before I change topics, other free agents to look out for: Kelly Oubre, Al Horford, Rondae Hollis Jefferson, Bobby Portis, some guys that give you depth, that provide depth. If we came out of a free agency with a Julius Randle, Bobby Portis, Rondae Hollis Jefferson, all three, we cooking with grease now. Because last year we played Knox and Hazonia at power forward, and that was terrible. Speaking of, do you bring back Mario Hazonia? I really don't have an opinion on that. I liked Hazonia. I liked him since before the draft. As a matter of fact, that KP draft, my pecking order of guys were I wanted Moutier 1, I wanted Willie Cauley-Stein 2, and Mario Hazonia 3. And we wound up getting Porzingis, and thought he was just going to be, a big stiff. He proved me wrong. But anyways, just to let you know, I'm just open to whatever gets us across the winning threshold. As long as we make smart decisions, whatever it takes for us to win, I'm with it, basically. So the draft class is exceptionally deep. Not with bona fide, franchise-changing superstars, but with good role players. And that's what you want. You want at the draft, you want some guys that'll come in and, add to what you already have. You don't want to bring in a guy that's going to take up salary and don't contribute. That's the last thing you want. I think this draft class here is loaded with guys that can come in and be that. Good rotation players. But once you get past 5, 6, 7, the rest of the draft, I would say 10 through 40 is loaded with a bunch of guys that are going to get minutes on your team. I don't see any busts in this draft. And then we have to be careful about that word bust, because placing unreasonable expectations on a guy that what his profile is already, like what his profile is, and then you bring him in thinking that you're going to reach some untapped potential is a risky proposition. One that GMs should probably try to steer away from. If a guy's a 3-point shooter in college, don't bring him in and try to make him a 3-and-D guy. Like, hey, man, listen, know your role. We'll grow you gradually. But if you're dependent on that guy to contribute right away, you should strongly consider doing something with your coaches in front office. I think the gem of our summer is Scott Perry. I think he's the if you're a Yankees fan, you remember a guy named Paul O'Neill, right? So Paul O'Neill wasn't the guy. The Yankees had like Derek Jeter, Jorge Posada, all these guys that were, but Bernie Williams, they had this dude that played right field named Paul O'Neill, who wasn't the guy, but man, was he clutch. I think that's what Scott Perry is going to be to us this summer. And the reason why I say that is because I just said the draft was deep. Basically, what that means is only 60 guys can be taken, right? So there'll be a robust undrafted free agent market, in my opinion. Guys like Marcus Bolden from Duke, who can give you 6 to 10 minutes of just coming in and either being a big body, high IQ guy. Some other guys, man, a Terrence Mann. I hope he doesn't go undrafted, but for our sake, if he does, I hope the Knicks are there in order to scoop him up. A high IQ defensive guy. But so getting back to Perry, just having him in that undrafted free agent market, man, is going to be super important for us. Just having, if Perry can pull out 1 or 2 gems, and I like to call anything past the first round the aftermarket. I know that's petty. I mean, whatever. I'm not perfect, but if we can get anything in the aftermarket, man, you're talking about, adding guys on the cheap like he did Mitchell Robinson and Alonzo Trier last year, bruh. You're talking about, a killing. So anyway, I'm gonna wrap this video up for without going too long. Man, it's like 40 minutes. I started talking about my Knicks, boy. That dude Big Freezer can talk when he started talking about them Knicks. But anyways, let me do some shout outs real quick. I want to shout out some people. So shout out to AJ Harris, Rick War, Ron Magic, Knicks lover, Keith Gill. What up, Free Keith? Who else? Coach Fa. I mean, who else is on here? Brutus Gorham. Shout out to VA Knickerbocker. Shout out to who else is on here? Hey, shout out to Jarrell with your tweet self, dog. I know your thumbs is sore as much as you be tweeting. Shout out to Ed, Business Square Business. Shout out to EM Chisholm. Shout out to Sim from At Nothing But Knicks. Terry and Trey. CP, what up? CK2K, what up? The Entertainer, what up? The Entertainer is my boy. Shout out to Isaiah and then everybody from Nick of Time Show. Shout out to Oops. Just shouting out the people that I communicate this Nick stuff with. If not a daily basis, shout out to them for being real Knicks fans and such. I'm gonna continue to do videos like this. I'm gonna try to get them shorter. I'd like to actually include some of y'all, if you can get on and just chop it up about the Knicks. I generally, I'm a little talker when I'm by myself, but most of the time I like to listen to what it is that you guys have to say about the Knicks. I'm outside, man. Sun going down, man. I must have talked the sun down. Anyways, this is Big Freezy, man. Holla at your boy about them Knicks. Keep your eyes open for future videos, not just about the Knicks, but about lifestyle, maybe some community type things, some other stuff. I like to communicate with everybody, keep my pulse on what's going on in the world and chop it up about it. See what I can do to make a difference. See what I can do to help others make a difference. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and say this, and then I know y'all going to clown me about my video, but my last thing is I believe the Knicks are going to the playoffs next year. 41-41. Anyway, it's your boy Big Freezy. Holla.